Look at this.
There we are.
Two of us here today.
Friends.
Friends, forecasting literally with, see, I had to rely on imagining
Right.
that people were watching
Right.
and that they were my friends over the last couple of days.
Is that tough to imagine?
Yeah, sort of.
I always vision, people are, I like to envision, usually when I'm doing the morning, I envision that people are on the treadmill or they're, they're doing the stuff in the kitchen, getting ready for the day and stuff like that. But by this time, I mean, it's like you're done with coffee.
That's a nice way to look at it.
That's what I try to do. I mean,
see, I think I envision people sitting down and critiquing everything I do, taking notes. Why did he say it like that?
Right.
That's not, you said the humidity was going to be 73%.
Get the emails ready.
74.
Here we go. Let's get the email going there.
Well, everybody's talking about this haze.
Yep.
I went to Kroger last night, and as I was, sunset time, and as I was walking out, I looked at the sunset, and I said, there it is. There's the haze.
Totally. Even last night in the 10 p.m., 9 p.m. newscast, I'm showing tower cams, and you can see it's an orange-ish glow coming from the lights. It even makes it a look. I mean, it was already noticeable last night, and today I think it's going to be even stronger, thicker.
Looks like it.
More of it. And so, I was walking around the neighborhood this morning, and I was like, what's that? A little
something. Okay.
Just a little something. It wasn't a problem for me, but it was just like that's a little different than my normal walk.
Some people though go like jogging and have their what do they call it, the boot camp or whatever that they do.
Right. All that
in the morning outside, and so you're huffing and puffing a lot, and you're going to be breathing in a lot of the dust, which I assume for some people is perfectly fine.
Right.
People live in dusty cities or whatever, I've never been to West Texas. I know you have.
Yeah,
is it dusty
Lubbock.
out there?
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, when the wind starts kicking up, it gets a little bit dusty. I've never been there when they've had a haboob or anything along those lines.
We talked about haboobs yesterday.
Yeah, and
on the after show.
And
we've said the word multiple times.
I know. I really like to say that word repeatedly, and the plural form of it is
plural. That's what I made them say it in plural too. Yeah, it was great.
But I haven't been there for a major wind event, is what I'm getting at. But and it certainly can be dusty when the wind's kind of kicking it up for sure.
Well, we have a look outside right now. I have set up on our graphics on our Lynx 1, as we call it here in the biz, a look outside, and at least I think I do. I might have something up on there on Lynx 1.
I remember Max 3 is not a look outside.
No. But I know that Clint is in the in the control room right now. He's a good man,
confident.
Good Texan. He's going to pull up Lynx 1 for us so that we could start talking about something related to the dust. Any moment now.
I don't
roll that beautiful bean footage.
There it is.
See, I told you.
That happens.
Here's a live camera view across the Southwest Freeway where the haze is evident.
I could see it.
Yeah, it kind of covers the whole sky, so it's sort of sunny, but it really isn't. It's like just brightens up the whole sky. It's a little bit of a weird deal there. And here's another perspective. This is our view. Actually, the bottom of your screen right now is Minute Maid Park. So, and the roof is open.
Yeah, they got it open.
So we're looking off kind of in this general direction off, I think, toward the east from this location. And it's pretty hazy. 90 degrees already. How you like that heat index of 102 degrees?
Yeah, that was evident this morning as well on the morning walk of the difference of how warm it felt with that humidity. Dew points is at 77.
77. It's been doing that the last 2 days. It's been like 77 at noon, which is crazy.
And sometime when we have more of an opportunity, I want to have a discussion about the fact that the wind is not factored into the feels like temperature.
Yeah, that's an issue.
I've talked with Lance Wood down at the Weather Service. I might get him on the Zoom and have a conversation about that because it does in fact offset it a little bit. But
it should.
But it's not a part of the equation when they figure a heat index, that mathematical computation.
We have a lot of things that we need to look into.
Man, that'll be good.
One of them that Allison, I told her last week I need to work on is turn around, don't drown, then what? They always tell you turn around, don't drown, but they don't tell you what to do after that.
That's a good point.
So one of the things that we're going to be keeping you updated on over the next few days is the AQI. I'm going to cue that up again because it wasn't supposed to disappear at the end there. The AQI. See? It runs through here
That'd
very
be the
nicely.
air quality index?
Yes. But see, now look what happens now. It's going to disappear after it pops up.
This has been a difficult graphic
I know.
for us.
I don't know.
It's a beautiful background, though.
I can't get it to stop without cutting off. But anyway, it runs in this range from green being good to purple being hazardous. And today out there right now, we are on the verge of orange.
Okay. Almost orange?
Almost orange.
Okay, that's what we'll call it. Almost orange.
So this is a graphic that shows the progression of the Saharan dust.
Man, we're in the middle of it.
This is probably the thickest I remember it being for the last couple of years, the last like recent memory.
We are queued up.
So it's going to be hanging around here for a little while, and then the bigger picture shows that out in the Gulf it kind of does let up a little bit. So we'll probably stay a little, I would say probably on the hazy side here for the next several days, but it's not going to be quite as thick. And then of course our attention is going to turn to the tropics. I also was started talking about this on Forecasting with Friends yesterday about that there could be other things too that are out there.
Yeah.
And some of it is smoke. There are big fires that have been burning out there in Northern California.
Well, just on the West Coast in general,
yeah,
right?
in general,
It's all up in there.
Oregon's had some big fires, and so that's all moving across where it says Boise and Billings and all those spots. And there were fires in Canada last month, I think, that were, so a lot of that smoke is still flying around. So yeah. So you said you were kind of feeling a little bit, scratchy in the throat.
Yeah, just a little something. Just wanted to clear my throat a little bit. Just a little of that.
This morning, I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah,
because this morning we had a physician on.
A real expert.
A real expert, yeah. So Sally and I think Denise, it was Sally and Denise, talked to him, asked him some questions about how this air quality index and this dust can be affecting your health, like it is JD and his.
Dr. Pushan Jani is a pulmonologist with UT Health Houston and joins us live. Welcome to Houston's morning show. I know a lot of people walked outside this morning and said, what is going on? For most of us, doctor, this is going to be relatively harmless, but who are you most concerned about? Who is at risk?
Well, so patients who have severe lung disease like asthma or COPD have a higher risk of developing increasing wheezing, shortness of breath, coughing episodes. And in some patients who do not have lung disease may also experience conditions like increasing sneezing episodes, nasal congestion, cough, shortness of breath can happen.
So is this, something they can treat with allergy medications at home, perhaps?
The best approach is to stay indoors, and if you have to step outdoors, wear a mask or wear a facial covering which prevents the inhalation of the particulate matter in the air.
Okay, is there any way for folks to prepare in other ways besides just staying indoors or wearing a mask? Is there something else that people can do?
They can consider antihistaminics, but I think the best prevention is avoiding the exposure itself. But antihistaminics can help. Patients who have asthma and COPD should make sure that if they have worsening wheezing symptoms to reach out to their physicians early enough, and sometimes make sure that their inhalers are, available. They are not running out of them, because they may have an increased use of the inhalers during these episodes of Sahara dust storms.
And so if they are exposed, how long does it take for some of these symptoms to go away?
Usually it subsides on itself within a matter of 5 to 7 days.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Johnny with UT Health Houston. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
5 to 7 days.
I
longer
know.
than I thought.
I was a little bit surprised that you're going to have to deal with it for that long. And I'm just going to have to leave the place.
Seriously, yeah, let's just go. We do have a recap of just some of the couple of things that he highlighted, and also relating it back to weather as well, up on Links 1.
Yeah, this is, again, kind of, I had a little bit of the itchy throat more than itchy eyes, to be perfectly honest. But I will say yesterday, my eyes were watering for some reason. And can I blame it on the dust, you think, yesterday?
Absolutely.
I would think so, right? I found my eyes were wanting to water at times. And then I think the positive of this dust is the sunrise and sunsets that, they're really just, they can be spectacular.
Yeah, it makes them really
clouds,
pretty.
just kind of just right in there.
Yeah.
And of course, the other positive being the fact that overall, it's not helpful for tropical formation. And we're doing pretty good here in the Texas area at the moment, but we're certainly would like to see more of this dust out in the Atlantic for as long as we can. But seasonally, typically when we get to the end of July, this pattern of getting that dust to kick up and come off of Africa and travel all the way across the Atlantic kind of slows down, comes to an end typically. So that's kind of what we're expecting.
There will be
July.
there's going to be a reckoning at some point, like mid to late August, where things start going ballistic. But,
Totally.
But for right now, there's just one little wave we're watching. That if you stick with us till the end of the program here, we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll talk
as
more
far
about
as where that wave is going. But coming up in just a couple of minutes, we're going to crack open a 6-pack.
Yeah, I've got it right here.
No, we're lit. I'm not kidding.
We got a 6-pack.
We're going to crack open a 6-pack.
Anheuser-Busch. It's right here.
From
Anheuser-Busch.
Anheuser-Busch.
Let's see what we can do.
Head for the mountains. I'm thirsty.
Well, yeah, listen.
It's been a long day.
I know it's been a long day, and you're probably wanting something here from Anheuser-Busch. We're going to get to that in a minute here because I wanted to tell you what we've got here. This is not an alcoholic beverage.
Darn it.
I know. This is a can of water. And I'm really impressed with this. When we have disasters, local communities and people, and then also businesses really step up and usually help quite a bit. So I'm impressed when we started hearing, this actually started back in May when we had all the flooding.
Okay, yeah.
Wasn't even just Beryl, but back in May, Anheuser-Busch and then our local company, I want to make sure I get them mentioned, the Silver Eagle Distributors in Houston. That's the local connection here. They are the ones who have brought in emergency water for distribution. It started in Montgomery County because that's where that flooding kind of was the worst in May. And then when we got into Beryl, obviously there were more of a widespread need overall. So we've got some video here basically of when they truck. Again, this is from Silver Eagle Distributors here in Houston, and they've really worked together to bring in a couple more truckloads of water. So since May, they've brought in a total of 9 truckloads. That would be like the 18-wheeler size trucks.
I mean, that's
a lot
of water. That clean drinking water that people need.
And you could see just the pallets and pallets, and they sent out the press release, and I was like, hey, is there any way you can send me can I kind of pick up a 6-pack of that? I'd like to see what it's like, and show it and talk about it. And I'm not desperately in need of it, so I don't want to take a bunch of it, but I just kind of want to show it. I think it's pretty cool what they're doing. And again, this was from last week. This video was from last week when the most recent truckloads arrived into town. And they've been doing this for a while. And here's the part that's pretty cool, Mike. We're going to taste this here in a second, but this water, it's from Colorado.
That's what I was going to ask.
I
was going to ask, is that like the legitimate Colorado mountain water that they use to make?
Yeah. It's Fort Collins, Colorado, is where this is coming from. So basically what they do, if I understand this correctly, basically periodically throughout the year, they'll stop their normal production, whatever beverages they're doing, and they'll fire up these cans of water. And so they get like a warehouse or something, they stock it up, and get this water ready to go when there's an emergency somewhere or disaster somewhere across the nation. They get with their distributors and they load them up. And as I mentioned, our distributor here is Silver Eagle Distributors Houston, provided, actually, let me read this. I guess they brought in 6 more trucks recently. Okay, so it was more than just a couple trucks, but it's a total of 9 that they've done so far this year. It started in May, and then Beryl, and then these arrived last week. So, you've worked hard, Mike. Here, let me get you one over here to go with. Again, Anheuser-Busch making
like
it happen.
A lager water?
I don't know
what
this
water.
I think it's just going to be water. I don't know if we're supposed to.
This is the first time you're going to see 2 weather guys crack open an Anheuser-Busch can on live television.
And
all right, cheers.
Cheers
to all the hard work.
To all the hard work and to the emergency relief we're getting.
That tastes like Colorado mountain river water.
Somebody told me, I won't name names, but somebody told me canned water is awful. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think so.
I think it's just an unfamiliar thing to drink water out of, is what
It feels a little.
It feels a little
awkward,
bit strange, but this is good, and just it does have the stamp on there that it's a proud partner of the American Red Cross, which is cool too.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. I'm glad you brought that up. This is the Red Cross sort of is the one who's organizing it, and they're saying, hey, we could use some help across here. Here's the most interesting thing that I found out of all this, Mike, is that they've been doing this program of making water, cans water, since 1988.
And this is, never heard of it until now.
I know, right? Since 1988 they've been doing this, bringing it along. And so they say that they've had 93 million cans since 1988. They've distributed out to areas that are in need like
See, you always think about bottled water.
Right.
But they have the infrastructure, like you said, in place to fill all these cans. So if they could take a break from what they're, the typical products that they're canning up and bottling up, I suppose, but canning up, you switch it over to water, and then there you go.
And my wife brought up a good point. She was with me when I went and picked up the six-pack, by the way. I went over to Pasadena and picked up the six-pack from the warehouse. And she said, I like the fact that it's the can because it's a lot easier to recycle the aluminum.
Yeah.
As far as the plastic waste and that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I don't even think, Anheuser-Busch probably doesn't even use plastic bottles whatsoever.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because you always, water is almost always in plastic bottles, but they don't have that. So
and I don't think, sending a glass bottle, I mean, they have bottles, but I don't think a glass bottle would be very financially smart. I know you can recycle glass as well.
Yeah.
But but again, in 1988, when they started this program, bottled water wasn't what it is today, right? I mean, plastic bottles of water were around, but it was nothing like it is today. And this was so helppful, I'm sure, throughout the
Plus,
years.
it's kind of fun.
Right?
You know what I mean? It's kind of it would be fun. It's a little bit more fun, I think, if you're in the dredges of this terrible, and calamity that we went through, and then somebody brings you a cold one, you know what I mean? And even though it's water, I think it does have a little bit of a refreshing kind of a vibe to it.
It's clean. I mean, I don't think it tastes bad. Like I said, somebody said, oh, the canned water doesn't. And also, typically, and I mentioned this to my wife as well when we were discussing the water, when you have emergency water, you don't want it exposed to light.
Yeah.
In a long term, type of a setup. Anytime if you buy a pouch of emergency water, it's not going to be a clear pouch. It's going to be kind of aluminum-like lined container of some pouch of some sort, and that helps to preserve the water by not exposing it to daylight. So who knows when they actually bottled this stuff? It's probably been.
I wonder what the shelf life is. I mean, it's got to be. Please use by date at bottom.
Oh, there is a bottom on there. I can't see it without.
Well, it says October of 2024, which seems like it would last a lot longer than that.
Well, maybe they
unless
can't.
they maybe
this was 1990. This is a 1990.
No, this is from 1988.
I don't know. Who knows how long? But I'm with you. They
wait a minute. Go Oilers.
you know though that water lasts a long time.
I'm sure it would. Yeah.
It really does, as long as it's sealed up. Even if a little daylight gets to it, it's certainly going to be that way.
Well, I feel so much more hydrated now than I did before the show.
Yeah, you look good. I mean, you're kind of glowing a little bit. Yeah, you're really looking. Let me make sure I didn't leave anything else, because I really want to point out the Red Cross, a huge part of this process. They're the ones that help get the bigger companies to help support them. But Silver Eagle Distributors Houston, LLC, that's our local folks. So they're doing a lot of things. They've got over 1,000 employees in the Houston area, so it's delivering lots of water all around the place. So you can look them up on social media. Silver Eagle.
You know what I'd like to do one day? I'd like to drive a forklift.
I'm with you. My family, we were talking about that the other day about a forklift driver.
Yeah, I mean, because those weren't the huge forklifts, but they were, a nice sized forklift to pick up those pallets of the water and all that stuff. And it looked like it was an enjoyable thing to do.
I would think so.
Especially since it was kind of a wide open warehouse. It wasn't like you really had to navigate.
Right, you're not going down the Home Depot
aisle.
No,
that one's dangerous. That one is dangerous for me. That scares me. So anyway, excellent. Very, very good stuff. Refreshing. Thank you, Anheuser-Busch and Silver Eagle Distributors Houston. Coming up, we have a tropical wave. Don't know 100% where it's going yet, but we have an idea of its general area. So that's obviously something we're going to watch pretty closely.
Yeah, and we want to show one more piece of video here that has to do with disasters happening up in the Northeast. Vermont really got slammed with some flash flooding as some strong storms moved. I think this video is from Monday, if I remember correctly. Look what they did to the road there. We got that car, the power lines and the car dangling over into the washed out roadway there. So the flooding has damaged dozens of homes and businesses, and I think they've got like 5 to 8 inches of rain in a really short amount of time is kind of what the scenario was there that they saw. And yeah, it's one of those deals where we get that a lot as around here, but because of our terrain and our runoff, and it's a little bit different. Their runoffs can't quite deal with that much, and will take bridges.
It's like rushing water. When that was happening, we had Fox Weather, our sister network, up in the monitor, and I saw that it wasn't just a flash flood warning. I think they declared it like a flash flood emergency.
Oh, right,
like that. And so that caught my eye. So gosh, because you don't often think of that with Vermont necessarily, but it was really just isolated to that one little area, that one little town. But yeah, 5 to 8 inches was about it.
Those elevation changes can really get the water rolling. So
yeah, big time. All right, well, we'll be back with the forecast. Take a look at that tropical wave for you and finish our waters coming up. All right, thanks so much for staying with us. Now that we're all hydrated, we could take a look at how warm it is certainly out there right now. So the latest temperature at Hobby Airport is up to 90 and rising. Galveston's at 88 right now, Angleton 89, so yeah, you get the idea. Getting pretty close to 90. Factoring in, though, the humidity, it feels pretty nasty out there. So right now, the heat index is 106 down at the beaches. 106 on Galveston Island, but there is a breeze, as JD mentioned before. It's like a 15-mile-per-hour breeze. So that's got to help a little bit, especially near the water. 100 to 103 is the current heat index in Houston. Also, by the way, if you are headed down to any of the beaches today, expect a rip current risk. The winds have picked up off the coastline a little bit, and so the waves may be a little bit on the rough side. All right, so this is the tropical wave I was telling you about before. Now, this is a little confusing, I know, but the orange area that you see here is the area of possible development. It's not a cone of uncertainty. It's not like a cone that spreads out. So this doesn't mean it's going to form here. That's not what it means. It means it could form over here, or it could form over here, or it could form here. Beyond that, its future location is up to the winds right now. So let's check it out. So the first one I want to show you is the GFS. Of course, this is our American computer model, and I have this running taking us through the weekend. So take a look at this. So the GFS has been showing a couple of interesting solutions. So the latest one today does show a tropical storm here off the Florida Panhandle affecting them. The Euro computer model is showing something different. It shows it moving also toward Florida, but then instead of kind of looping around the bottom side of Florida, it spins up an area of low pressure here off of the east coast of Florida. You see that? So there's a lot to watch, and of course we will keep you apprised of all the developments with what may become a tropical depression later on this week. Join us for the news at noon coming up.